Okay, so here we have with us again, Cassie Kaufhold, fresh off her Olympic medal win, a bronze medal in the mixed team at the Olympics in Paris. So, Cassie, tell us, how was that experience for you?
It was great. It was of course I've only shot two Olympics, but it was my favorite so far out of the two. It was much different from Tokyo with having, less restrictions and having a
Mhm.
crowd and everything. And
Yeah,
my family was there as well, so they got to
right.
experience, watching Brady and I win bronze. And so it was just overall a great experience.
And but as you said, it's not the first time you've been in Paris, right? So, what was the Paris experience like? Just the atmosphere of Olympics in Paris. Such an iconic city.
Yeah, it was beautiful to have the Olympics in Paris. I had been there for World Cup events before, but
Mhm.
since the Olympics is such a big event, like a lot more locals got into it. So we would be out at lunch or a cafe and
Yeah.
wearing our USA stuff, and people would come
Mhm.
up and ask, "Oh, like what sport do you do and when are you
Mhm.
competing?" Things like that. And everybody was super nice, wished us good luck. And so that was really, really cool to see.
Okay, that's great. But what was your preparation like? The last time we interviewed you would have been about 9 months ago, and you would already qualified an individual spot, and you all had not yet won a team spot. So take us through that period, in terms of the qualifying of a team spot and your training and so on. How did that go?
Yeah, I think training went well. I started my outdoor season in March, and the kind of first thing we did was a camp in Chula Vista. So I got to shoot with the team that was going to the Pan Am Championships. And then we had that event in April, and the women qualified the team spot, which was great
Mhm.
to have it done earlier than we did in Tokyo,
Yeah.
because we just kind of had a little bit less stress going into trials because last time, like, we only had one spot when we finished trials, and so
Yes.
the stakes kind of felt a lot higher, whereas this time we had that, full, like, 3 spots, and so we could finish trials knowing that we were sending a full team,
Right.
and
Yeah. But in terms of the trials, I mean, is it how many was really at the top? Was it like 4 or 5 of you all that were contending for those three spots?
I'd say, like, once we cut the top 8, the, numbers, I'd say, started to spread a little bit more.
Mhm.
Um, Catalina and Jenny would kind of flip back and forth between 2nd and 3rd. It ended up being me, then Catalina, and Jenny.
Right.
And then our alternate Emma Kim, she was close. Like, I mean, it definitely she had, the potential, and she's a very,
Right.
very good
Yeah.
shooter. So like she could have definitely popped in there, but
Mhm.
it ended up being kind of what it was through most of the trials, being me, Catalina, and Jenny.
Yeah. As you said, it's much easier if it's a team that you all you know who
Mhm.
you are and you basically start training. But how was that training done? Was it like you all train together regularly? Was it like, every 2 weeks, once a month? How was the team training preparation for the Olympics?
So we would see each other a lot over the summer just between competitions
Mm.
and such, but we
Yeah.
had the camp in March, and then we did, like, the girls came to Lancaster to shoot with me a little bit before the games, and then
Mhm.
once we were in Paris, we had like about a 5-day camp there at the High Performance Center. But most of the time we would just practice with each other at competitions because we were just already together there so often.
Right, right, right. Yeah. But for your individual training, could you elaborate more on that? I mean, how many days per week, hours per day? So what do you do to prepare yourself really, as an
So
individual?
yeah. So when I'm home, I shoot 7 days a week. 6 of those days being like around 250 arrows, and then one day
Hmm.
being 150 to 200 as a lighter day. For me, like, it's just easier to train every day because actually this is weird compared to most people. Like, if I take a day
Hmm.
off, I get sore and it's harder for me to
Right,
build
right.
back up.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm just shooting like
Hmm.
constant, it's a lot easier me to keep that flow.
Yeah.
But day to day, I would usually do at least one scoring round of 72, sometimes two in a day,
Mm.
and then work on kind of match simulation, whether it was
Yeah. Okay.
shooting against friends, like at the
Hmm.
range, or shooting against scores from like previous tournaments. Like, I'd pick up like, oh, like World Cup stage 2 from last year, and then like I'll like pick a realistic rank. So say like I'm like, oh, I qualified 7th, and then I shoot through
Right.
that
Yeah.
7th place
Okay.
bracket.
Yeah. So run through a solar simulation. I like that. Too bad you don't have that fancy shooting machine that the Koreans have.
Yes, that's impressive. Unfortunately, we don't have something like that as of right now, but
Mm,
just to see like that's how dedicated and how like well-rounded their archery program is, that they can have opportunity like that is amazing. And that's definitely, I mean, they have good archers to shoot against each other
yeah,
as well,
yeah.
but to see something
Mhm,
like that was definitely different than anything we've seen before.
mhm. Yeah, because I did watch the match with Kimujin and the machine just
Hmm.
barely beat him.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, as you said, they invest a lot in their archery. I've seen it
Hmm.
firsthand. They really put a lot into it, and it showed at the Olympic
Hmm.
level, right? I mean,
For
they
sure.
took they basically clean sweep everything. Individual
Hmm.
men, women, team
Team
men,
man, yeah,
and the
mixed
mixed team.
team. Hmm.
Wow. I mean, I was predicting that I'll probably get 4 out of 5, but not 5 out of 5.
Yeah, I mean it's
Mm,
impressive. I mean they're a powerhouse for sure, and I think it's just like a different approach than most other countries do. But it's obviously working for them.
yeah. So, but I do remember in our last interview, we did speak a little bit of Coach Kim, who is a
Uh-huh.
top coach from South Korea,
Uh-huh.
and I know he is very involved in development of their program there.
Hmm.
Um, you know, I know you took away some things from him when he came to you guys in Lancaster last time.
Hmm.
Did you see it really make a difference for you coming into the Olympics as well? Some of his methods.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is when I work with any coach is just to get a different perspective. I think
Right.
like I work mostly with Heather File and Dick Tone,
Yeah, and
but
the
when I
tone,
work
yes.
with Coach Kim, like maybe he's saying
Mhm.
something about the same like topic, but just says it a different
Right.
way that clicks with me better. And
Yeah.
so for me, like the biggest thing was with him, like how he explains how they move to get through the clicker. For them, it's a very
Uh,
small movement.
mhm.
And so it's I think before like I would take moving through the clicker too literally, and I would really move to get through.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Whereas for
Yes.
me now, I'm a lot more accurate if I just have smaller movements and less to pull through the clicker. And I think that's the biggest takeaway I learned from him. And if you watch the Koreans shoot, like at full draw, they are very still. And I think that's
Yes.
something that contributes a lot to their accuracy.
Yeah. So which takes me to some of your individual matches. I mean, what was the experience there? You went into Olympics ranked number one.
Hmm.
How was that? Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Going in ranked number one was definitely just different. I I wasn't really expecting what happened. Like I walked into the field on qualification day, and they do like cute little signs behind your lane if you're world
Yeah.
number one, world champion, world record
Ah.
holder, or previous Olympic champion. And
Yeah. Yeah.
so I walked up to my lane and there was the world number one sign, and I like
Mhm.
I'm just not one to really love attention. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
when I saw that, I was just at first I was like, I don't feel like that. But
Added
then
pressure.
yeah, but thinking about it after, I was like, I worked really hard for that accomplishment and I'm proud of it. And so
Yeah.
just learned to own it. And I think
Mhm.
that honestly kind of helped my qualification round. I felt like I shot really well
Mhm.
there, and
Yes.
finished fourth in that round. So
Fourth in the round. Yes.
yeah, and then going into individuals and teams,
Mhm.
I think just the biggest thing that I was not expecting was the crowd. It
Mhm.
was a crowd
Yeah.
of 8,000, which for archery, that's a lot.
Wow. That's a lot. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's the biggest crowd I ever shot in front of, and it
Mhm.
kind of just took me aback, and I felt like the more I shot, the more I got comfortable with it, but it took me a little bit to get
Yeah.
there. And as far as like my own form wise, I think the biggest thing was just remembering to breathe.
Yeah. Right.
I got a little too shaky during some of the
Mhm.
the first matches, and I think in the long run I shoot a lot better when I'm, moving through my shots smoothly. And
Yeah.
so that was the biggest thing I wanted to fix going into mixed teams, and it ended up working really well.
Yeah. So again, it comes back to the mental game and that sort of, preparation under pressure. How do you deal with it?
Hmm.
Which is one of the things I take away from a lot of stuff we learned from Lanny Basham and his mental management programs, performing under pressure.
Hmm.
And I mean, you have to be there to actually practice it as well. You have to get out there and shoot it and be under the pressure. How do you
Right.
apply tools you've learned in situations like that? And
Hmm.
yeah, but I mean, I think you still do a lot better than most. So
Thank you.
you can take that away. This is why, we have you on here. I want you being here to inspire our athletes as well, in the
Hmm.
Caribbean, not only in Trinidad and Tobago. That, if they put the effort in, they put the work in, we can do it as well.
Yeah.
And we want to get more women in the sport, more girls in the sport,
Hmm.
and hopefully one day we from Trinidad we probably get a girls team. That's one of my objectives as well, a men's
Awesome.
team and a girls team.
Great.
But so tell me about the girls' performance now for the team match. I mean, how was that for you guys in the women's team?
I think we definitely didn't perform as well as we would have liked.
Mm,
Um, I'm not sure exactly what could have been better. I think for me personally, I can't speak for the other girls, but for me personally, I think the biggest thing was like my timing got a little slow. And that's like one of the biggest things in my shot is like if I'm shooting fast, I'm shooting better. And so I think just with nerves, like I got a little tight and that slows me down. And like I think the first three arrows we shot amazing. Like our first three arrows of the rotation we shot 10 10 9. And I think like that was kind
right,
of
right, right.
before the nerves hit, and then I think the nerves
Mm,
hit and we all tended to open up a little bit with our groups. But I think it was a good experience for all of us because like we got to get used to the crowd before all of our individual matches and everything moving forward. So I think
yeah,
that was kind of what I used it as, like even though we didn't shoot very close to like our averages or anything. Like I think the biggest thing I used it as was just experience shooting on that stage and getting used to, the crowd, the wind, the lighting, all that stuff.
right. Okay, good, good. And in terms of the mix, did you enter the mix that mixed bronze match? How was that working for you and Brady? I mean, you get to a semi-final match, and you lost that, and now you have to fight for the bronze. How was that experience?
I was actually really proud of how both of us handled moving from semis to bronze. In the past, personally, like I've always had trouble with that because you just
Mm,
come off a loss and it's like, oh, you have to shoot
right.
another match. Where
Yeah.
often
Yeah.
that's the only time that ever really happens is the
Mm,
bronze match. And
yeah.
so I would like I don't even remember being upset, I'll be honest with you. Like
Mm,
we
mm,
lost the match against Germany and I don't think we even lost because we
mm,
shot bad. Like both teams, we both shot really good. It's just we
mm,
were tied 3-3 and Brady and I both just misread the wind on those first arrows of the last set.
mm,
And
yeah.
it's hard. I mean, like mixed team, you only have four arrows, so there's not much
Yep.
room for
Yep.
error. And
Yeah.
so we were just like, we know what
Mm,
we did wrong there. It was two arrows that we, could have done better. But otherwise we've been shooting really good. And so we walked off that stage, went right back into the like staging room and went back out there
mm,
and pretended like nothing ever happened. Like I
yeah.
wasn't
Yeah. Yeah.
even
Yeah.
I didn't even feel upset to be honest. Like I
Right.
just
Right.
I knew we were coming home with the medal that day, but that just
Mm,
determined what color it was. And in my
yes.
mind,
Yes.
like that's all that it was.
Yeah. But that's great. I mean, and you'll pull it off, and I think fantastic as well.
Thank you.
The other question I want to talk to you about was really that match, that final match between Brady and Kim
Hmm.
Woojin, the
It
best
was
versus the best.
wow. It was to just be there and like witness it,
Mm,
like
mm,
it was legendary. Like it was I can't imagine. I don't think there has ever been a better showing in a gold medal match in archery in history. Like it was just
mm,
point per point, set for set. And the
yeah.
most impressive part for me was like it was 4-4. They were both shooting amazing. Kim Woo Jin puts down a 30. He does his
Yep.
job. He shoots three good
Yep.
shots. He
Mm,
puts down a
mm,
30. Brady has two tens down there, knows he needs to
mm.
shoot another one to go
Yeah.
to a shoot off, and he just pipes it. Like it's
Right.
just it's
Yeah.
it's just amazing
Mm.
how like it's I just can't even put into words how hard that is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's just an amazing feat. And then to shoot both tens in the shoot off just 5 millimeters different, like
Mm.
they both walked away from that champions. Just
Yeah. Yeah. Uh,
one walked away with gold, one walked away with silver.
yeah. I think up to me, I would give Woodham gold medal.
Yeah,
Um,
I
you know.
I don't disagree. I full-heartedly agree. Like it was just how closer could you
Mm,
get? How much closer? It was unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a really great match. But Brady's like, I think his mental game is really next level. He has a
Hmm.
really tough mental game. I remember
Yeah, for
being on
sure.
a seminar with him, and he was saying that he visualizes shooting the whole match in his mind the
Mm-hmm.
night before.
Yep.
And I mean, that takes a lot of discipline and a lot of
Oh yeah.
patience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
That's just
so
a such a powerful tool. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And something, I hope some of my archers listening here could, take a page out of his book
Yeah, no, for
to get
sure. I
ready
mean,
for.
it's
Yeah.
so important.
Mm,
I do visualizing as well, and I think it's just so
mm,
important that like it's kind of a dress rehearsal in a way, is how I
yeah.
see it. You know, like you're running through it in your mind because you expect for it to happen and you want it to happen. It's kind of
Mm,
manifesting it in a way.
yeah, yeah. Okay, good. So now that the Olympics is over, you're back home, everybody's happy.
Hmm.
All the partying is done by now, right? So party's
Yeah.
over.
Yeah, party's over.
So what's the plan now moving forward, short, medium term? And I guess the next step after that really is early 2028.
Yeah. So right now I'm taking a little bit of a break. I'm taking 2 weeks off, just kind of getting into things I do besides archery. But
Mm,
once I get back to it, I'm gonna work a little bit on equipment. Just kind of perfecting little things here and there that I think could make my archery more forgiving, we'll say. Whether I don't know if it's in equipment or my shot, but I think there's something that could take me to like the next level. I shoot a lot of 680s in practice, but I've only shot ever one in a qualification round at a tournament.
mm.
And so I think there's just something I haven't quite found out yet that can take me to that next step. And
Right,
so
right.
I definitely want to focus on that. And so after I get that all done, we're gonna do some indoor competitions. I'll do our national competitions here, the
Mm,
Lancaster Classic, and then
mm,
3 World Indoor Series events. I'll do
mm,
the Nîmes event, Chicago, and then
mm,
Vegas.
mm.
And then we start outdoor season. So I'll be doing the World Cups, hopefully World Championships,
Yeah.
and then um just going through the years till we get to 2028.
Right, right. But you mentioned now that you want to look more at the equipment side of it. So who's helping you in terms of the tuning of equipment? Is it just yourself or your coaches? Who's really helping
Yeah,
you through that process?
I work with my coaches like when I'm tuning at home, so Heather
Yeah.
File and when I see Dick Tone.
Mm,
But I'm picking
mm,
Doug Denton's mind right now, who he's the recurve engineer at Hoyt. And so
right.
he's designed all these bows, and so
Yeah. Mm,
I've been talking back and forth with him a little bit on just little things here and there to try or to compare and stuff like
mm,
that. And so he's been very helpful in the process so far, and I'm
yeah.
I'm looking forward to working with him in the future.
Yeah. Great. That's great. I wish we had that sort of access here in Trinidad, but we
Mm,
do what we can. But
okay.
anyway, Cassie, I really appreciate the time you've given here and for giving us this interview.
Hmm.
And of course, I'll be still in touch, and occasionally, those big events, we probably, catch up again.
Yeah, for sure.
You did meet a couple of our guys recently at the
Yeah.
US Nationals.
Yeah, it
That
was nice
was,
to meet them.
yeah, that was Daniel and Jordy.
Hmm.
Daniel, of course, he's really working hard towards, getting to LA 2028.
Yeah.
And so you probably see him more often, probably at least once
Awesome.
a year in the US, probably competing if you are there, of course. And you never know, I might turn up as well.
Okay, sounds good.
Yep. But thanks again, Cassie.